sympathize with all you do, but that ain't me. No, it's not me. So let's agree to disagree to dis. You're always wrong as far as I can see. Let's just agree to disagree to disagree. I've known you forever, you're not all that bad. I'll say that, but I'm not quite convinced of that fact. We keep well connected and we talk most every day. I try and find some worth in all the crazy things you say, but that ain't me. No, it's not me. Let's just agree to disagree to dis. You're always wrong as far as I can see. Let's just agree to disagree to disagree. But that ain't me, no, it's not me. So let's agree to disagree to dis. You're always wrong as far as I can see. Let's just agree to disagree to dis. But that ain't me, no, it's not me. So let's agree to disagree to dis. You're always wrong as far as I can see. Let's just agree to disagree to disagree. Yeah.
Welcome to Agree to Disagree, our new live and unscripted interactive global talk show. In this series, we're going to be discussing global topics and issues, but from a local level. And it's all about interactive and hearing from you. We want you to join in the discussion, share your opinions and ideas, and make your voice heard. Today's topic is COVID-19, living with the virus. And I'm very pleased to say we have our producer, Claire, in the background, who will be helping us answer all your comments and respond to all you good people out there. And as always, I'm very pleased to say we have Thomas, master at the controls, who's with me here live in the studio. Hello, Thomas. How are you today?
I'm all right. Hello, everybody. Welcome, everybody, to our new show, Agree to Disagree. I know you're struggling a little bit because it wasn't fair. The weather is not the best, guys. It is really, we are in the middle of a thunderstorm. It's raining, it's stormy, it's blowing around, and we had no idea, can we come, can we not come, can we come, can we not come? So it was quite nerve-wracking before we came on air.
It certainly was, and it was a terrifying journey over here, I can tell you, Thomas. The puddles were like lakes. But anyway, it's great to be here, kicking off on a completely brand new format of a fully interactive debating show, which I think at any time of the year, but particularly perhaps now, is just what the world needs, Thomas, to share people's opinions. And I know there's a lot of pent-up anger out there around the world about all sorts of subjects. We're going to choose a different subject per episode, but we thought we'd start with the bogey in the room, as it were, or the elephant, hardly that, but this wretched, horrible pandemic, COVID-19. And then after that, we can then move on to all sorts of subjects.
All sorts of things.
But most especially, we want to hear your suggestions. We'd love to hear what gets your goat out, as it were, or what you'd like to get off your chest. We are absolutely here, ready to debate those issues over the next coming weeks. We're broadcasting 3 times a week, so there's plenty of opportunity to write those comments in, or even better still, why not pick up the phone and call us free on Skype, where you could really broadcast to the world yourself, and we'd absolutely love to hear from you here at Studio Kirker, wouldn't we, Thomas?
Yes, definitely, guys. So thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching all over the world. That show is global, and it fits where it comes from. It comes from the birthplace of debate. It can't be a better place. I mean, everything just thrown in there. But we've been off air for nearly 2 months, and that has been COVID related. To all our followers and fans out there, thanks so much, guys, for bearing with us, and of course taking part now. And when I look, we put a poll up, so a poll for the show. So we have a couple of new things, and one of the new things is we have a poll, so where we're gonna ask you questions, where we genuinely want you to say what you think. And today's poll is: how seriously is the COVID-19 pandemic to you? And that's a question what came up quite often, because the last 2 months we had a lot to think about. We done our tour of the beautiful island of Corfu. We had to break this tour because of the COVID, and there were many reasons behind it. But we are back, and we said, okay, let's start with that. And I mean, the poll, it's great. I got some figures here, mate. And we were asking today, how seriously is the COVID-19 pandemic to you? And here on the screen I got now the question, the answers you can give. I take it very seriously. I don't think it's serious at all. I don't know what to believe, and it's a hoax. No, I said we didn't put it in, but there's people out there, and we met some people who think it's a complete hoax. There's nothing happening. There's nothing going on. This is all just a government conspiracy. But we all know it's not true. So, but here I'm getting in. At the moment, we got votes in, and there is 73% of you guys are saying, I take it very seriously. 7% say, I don't think it's that serious. And 20%, I don't know what to believe. And it's a hoax, it's 0%. And that's nice to see.
0%. Yes,
0.
I was hanging out for that figure. But I think I can go along 100% with the people that say, I don't know what to believe, because I think that's fair for a fair few of us, actually, isn't it? On the other hand, if you're at the sharp end of fighting this wretched pandemic, I'm sure you're much more inclined to go with the line, I take it very seriously indeed. So I dare say from there to I don't know what to believe is probably the right answer. But we all here firmly believe that it's to be taken very seriously.
Yes, no, definitely. And I'm just looking. We have a lot of messages in. Hi, guys. It's so brilliant. Anthony is saying hello. Nikos is saying hello. Tom Giddings is saying hello. Julie Kem is saying hello. Jackie Cherry, Angie Driscoll, Lavinia Psaras, Margaret Johnson, Amy Speller from Finland is saying hello. Hi,
Army. Hi, Ilter Army. Got to say that, haven't I? Welcome to you all, because you're all fantastic, by the way, and you kept us going. Every one of you. Thank you very much.
Definitely. Steve Powers, Bill Wire is here. A lot of people back. Thank you so much for tuning in, and spread the word. Spread out the word and let us know what you think. Today is Living with the Virus. This is our topic of today. And every show, so Monday, Wednesday and Friday, we're going to choose another topic, what is relevant, what needs to be spoken about. And believe me, we just sat down and we knocked a few out. We got for the next 18 shows some topics. But that doesn't mean that I'm getting messages already, that you can't choose a topic for us. So come on, let us know if there's something on your heart. We say, I would love to talk about it with you guys. I would like to discuss that. Or for the problems we highlight, for the things we're talking, you say, you know what, you're talking about that, but there's somebody out there who's doing a fantastic project or fantastic work. Please let us know. We would love to hook up with that and highlight that and show that to the rest of the world.
Absolutely. And we do know of lots of you have put together groups and done amazing things on your own throughout this pandemic. And we would absolutely love you to share your experiences with us. And going back to the other thing, we'd love to hear all sorts of topics that, as I said before, get you irritated perhaps. There is no taboos here. No subject whatsoever is off the table for discussion. It really is a total free debate. We believe in free speech here at Studio Kirker. That is why we're a fully independent media broadcasting company.
Yes, we are. Oh, and I get some messages in. I should back off on my microphone. Yes, I'm gonna do that one now. We just leveling. It's time, 2 months not broadcasting, and in the last minute again, so many software updates, and then this thunderstorm.
Always.
It didn't make it like so we couldn't tune. But I hope you guys can hear us perfectly. Everything seems to be in order. But we had just before the show. Fantastic. The rain came down. It really poured down. It really went. Look at this one. This is from Corfu down where we are, and
torrent,
it was unbelievable, man.
That's a real flood in the making there. So sad. But of course, this lovely green verdant isle needs the rain. But I think we had like a week's worth in about half an hour, didn't we?
We had definitely a week's worth in half an hour. So it was quite.
Quite something.
Something to sitting here and not knowing if we can go on air or not. That was a little bit nerve-wracking. That was a little bit a funny start. But hey, it's raining out there now. It stopped, so it's okay. We hope that's gonna be all right for the rest of the show.
Yes, although we should point out that there are thunderstorms scheduled for a bit later on. So should there be a break in this transmission, I reckon you can bet your bottom euro, dollar, pound or whatever that it might be a bit of lightning interference. But hopefully that won't spoil your viewing pleasure, and hopefully it won't interrupt this debating inaugural show of our new series, Agree to Disagree. By all means, use our hashtags that we put up there. You will see them on screen. And as always, if you'd rather be anonymous and you'd like to suggest a topic and you don't really want anyone to know it's you, why don't you drop us a line anonymously at inbox@studiokirkera.com.
Yes, exactly. And I think I'm back on the mic a little bit more. I'm trying to, and this was just...
Well, you're trying to do all sorts of things all at once. It's no picnic being in the hot control seat, is it really? You've got a million things going through your mind at the same time, as well as looking good on camera, which of course I'm sure you always do. Certainly the hair. You beat me with the hair stakes, hands down, Thomas. I always have a bad hair day, I'm afraid. It was washed before I came out, but I think the rain put paid to that. But anyway, we're not here to discuss my hair, thank heavens. We're here to hear from you, our lovely viewers and followers all around the world, because it is a global interactive, and that's the thing that gets us excited here. And I know from our previous series of Lockdown SK and then again Unlocked SK, it gets you all excited too, because here is your chance to write not just us, but by definition to the world as well.
Yeah, definitely, guys. And let's see now. You're saying it's better now with my microphone. That's good. So, okay.
Great.
Can you hear me right? Yeah.
I can hear you fine, Thomas.
Perfect.
Absolutely.
That's all what I needed to know.
No interruptions.
Let's carry on. Today it's the subject COVID-19, living with the virus. And we are all living with the virus now for at least 7 months.
Yes.
It's 7 months now. And yes, we started lockdown in March. Now we're back with Agree to Disagree. And the first show is about COVID-19, living with the virus. And how do we get on? What's happening? And there's a lot happening, not just here, but around the world, and especially in the United Kingdom. Today was a great update from the Prime Minister regarding the new rules.
Yes, indeed. It was been expected now over the last few days, actually. England, he announced rules for England. It seems that Wales and Scotland and Northern Ireland have their own regional differences. So across the UK, it does slightly vary. But nonetheless, Boris Johnson, UK Prime Minister, introduced new measures. It doesn't go as far as complete lockdowns unless they are locally specific, but it was a whole raft of measures about numbers, which we already knew before, didn't we? Maximum of 6 in groups, the closing times of pubs, bars and restaurants. And masks, of course, are featured heavily, along with social distancing and gatherings.
And gatherings, yeah. I mean, I got a couple of things here because this is the new 3-tier system. Three.
It's 4 in Greece, yeah.
Exactly. It's 4 in Greece. It's 3. It is so confusing when you think, wow, everywhere you look now, it's different. It's not just here in Greece that we struggle a little bit to understand what's going on. Today, as example, it came out, we should wear masks indoor and outdoors. So, but doesn't matter in which zone you live, because we got split up now in different color zones. This is 3 zones and 4 zones.
4 zones, yes. And it's in keeping with the EU, actually, I have to say. It's green is the lowest level, which there are a few provinces or prefectures in Greece, areas that are green. There's a large number that are yellow, which includes this island here of Corfu, and then there are the oranges. I don't think there's many in the actual red as yet. Orange is the most severe commonly at the moment, and that is a large part of Athens and Thessaloniki and Tricolo, I do believe you said.
Tricolo, yeah.
Possibly Mykonos and Santorini and Samos, I think, as well, and Lesbos. Corfu is yellow at the moment, which it's more or less what it was like a week ago. The bars and places have to close at 10 o'clock. It's always been the case, actually, for the last month, that masks should be worn inside shops and
inside and
buildings.
outside.
So
in shops, in offices, in official thing, you have to go with the mask.
Yeah,
They grab you without the mask. It's €150 fine straight away. No question about that. And it's getting more. And now they start to clamping down, because what's happening over the last few weeks, the cases are rising, sadly enough. And when we stopped. Remind me, when we stopped with Unlocked, there were just over 4,800 cases in Greece.
And there was about, the deaths were 300 and something, I do believe. Yeah, something of that order.
About that, yeah.
Yes.
And when we look into that now, we're over 20,000 now in Greece.
Yes.
And the death toll is
22,360 as of lunchtime today in Greece. And the death toll is it's infected cases, yes, Thomas. And the numbers of deaths so far are 449.
449. So that dramatically, sadly, gone up too. But it's dramatic how the cases are gone up. And that's the holiday season hit. When we stopped, we had not one case here on Corfu. Now we have the latest what I heard is just over 100 cases here on Corfu, and it's gradually going up. In England it's the same story now. Brings me back what's in England. In England at the moment, when I have this with the dears, you got the figures, yeah?
Yes, I have. In the UK, they're on 604,000 cases, with a very nasty 42,825 deaths. That's as of lunchtime today. The UK has a population of 67.8 million compared to Greece's just over 11 million. I'm going to mention populations as we go through the programme, because I think it's very pertinent to compare with certain other countries around the world who have got greater populations than that, but are actually faring rather better when it comes to statistics. I would say, though, Thomas, going back to your point about Corfu, since we've had
Greece,
let's say Greece or Corfu, since we've had the opening up of international flights, and since we've had the beginning of, shall we say, the holiday season, there is, of course, a lot more testing going on now than there were back in the days when we were broadcasting Unlocked SK, for instance. They were testing, am I right in saying, 50% of people at airports or points of entry?
Yes, around 50% got tested, and they said that they're ramping him up, but they said much more, that there's more testing going on. Well, to be honest now, I didn't see that happening.
Right. Okay.
When you look in, it's the same as the United Kingdom. They pointed that out in the House of Commons today. Yes, 100% testing, and they should be within 24 hours turnaround. Yeah.
Yes.
And the real figure, you know what the real figure is? What they're actually testing?
No, I don't.
24%. 24%.
That's much lower than they would like.
It's all the figures what we get, and I'm not surprised that some people, when I look in now to the poll here, there's quite 24%. I don't know what to believe. I can't blame them.
I can't blame them.
You know what I mean?
I think that's absolutely understandable, especially with all the news and the changing news, depending on who you listen to. Some of it's also cyclical, isn't it? I mean, you hear something a few months back, and then it goes quiet, and then it suddenly comes back again. It's very nasty.
I know. I mean, here, as example, let me see. Christian Williams is saying, I'm living in Gwent. This must be
Wales.
Wales, yeah.
Good old
and
Wales.
We are under local lockdown again.
Yes.
So that's it. Thank you, Christian. Let us know how is under local lockdown for you now. Because this is localized lockdown, and with the 3 tiers the government thrown in. Let me go through that quickly. It's tier 1. It's medium. Yeah. Current national measures apply. Then rules of 6 applies indoors and outdoors. Right. Closure of hospitality venues at 10 p.m.
Right.
Wow.
Yes.
So that's tier 1. That's
okay.
Let me go over to tier 2. What he said, I got the Prime Minister. I have to look at him while I read that. So it's high and household mixed band indoors. rules of six applies. Outdoors, most restricted areas now enter this tier. So that's the high, and then you have tier 3 is very high. Social mixing is banned indoors and outdoors. Pubs and bars to be closed in these areas. Retail, schools, and universities remain open.
Yes, I mean,
that's another thing,
That's a
living
big
now, when we say
subject, that
living
is.
with this virus, there are so many regulations coming in. These regulations are changing constantly. It's a movement. They're getting stronger, they're getting less, they're getting stronger. So those people are confused and think, I don't know what to believe. It's totally normal.
It is. And if you remember, I think it was, 10 days ago, even the Prime Minister got a bit tongue-tied in answering some questions at a press briefing when he wasn't quite sure of the rules himself. So I think they've had to sit down and try and issue some clarity here. But it makes it even more complicated when you've got local enforcements coming into place, like we heard from the Mayor of Liverpool. Liverpool is becoming a special case in the United Kingdom. And then, of course, you've got Wales with their own ideas of how to combat COVID-19, and Scotland and Northern Ireland. They all differ.
Yeah.
But every country is in a similar boat. And that's why we said at the beginning, in the mistake I made in the introduction, I apologise for that we're discussing global issues, and on this particular occasion we're discussing COVID-19, but from a local point of view, if you like, because although it's a global subject, every area is apprehending it in a different way.
Yeah,
there that keeps changing, as
that
you
keeps
have correctly
changing. But I'm
pointed
getting
out,
saying
yes.
stop the confusion. One rule for everything.
Yes.
So is that the answer? Does we go again?
Well,
what does one rule mean? I mean, when you say one rule for everybody, then we have to lock down everything again.
That's what they're desperately trying to avoid. I would think it's fair to say that just about every country is absolutely trying to avoid that as a last case resort. Your point about the confusion and most people aren't able to do this or move here or there, and yet universities and schools are open. One point about universities that keeps coming up is that they're very concerned when term finishes and all the students leave their halls of residence and go back to their homes or their families. Up to 100,000 students, that is, in the United Kingdom, which is a hell of a lot of movement.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what they're worrying about with the spreading of COVID-19.
But that's why I said schools, universities left open. So, they got identified as hotspots. There are a lot of things happening, not just in England, in Greece, also in other countries. As soon as schools were opened, we have the problem of new infections. It hit Greece too.
Oh,
people are on the
yes,
streets, people are demonstrating. And I think that just adds to the confusion here. But let's see, should we lock down, should we not lock down? Here, I had a message up on this going very, very quick. Edit Source is saying, Northern Ireland yesterday, 1,506 new cases. So careful. And that brings me back what we heard today. He got criticized, Johnson, regarding, he got a lot of people asking, and say, just let it go. Mm-hmm. Just let it go, just let it burn out. But I think that's not the right thing to do either.
No, I don't.
So how do we measure that? How do we live now with this virus?
Also, that doesn't take any consideration of older people, people more prone to catching diseases. Well, you made a good point earlier on, Thomas, before we came on air, and Claire made the point that what they're actually basing the start base and emanating out from is the worries about the capacities of the hospital or the health services to deal with the pandemic. That is how they're looking at it first and foremost, isn't it?
It is, yeah, but when you look then into all the other things now, it's how people perceive that. I mean, everybody should work to the guideline. Guys, that's real. That's not a hoax. There is no conspiracy behind it. That's real. This virus is here and it's hitting hard. And they're talking about the second wave. So, of course, they try to find now they can't lock down again like they did in March. That's what they try to avoid, because economically, doesn't matter what country we speak now, it's going to be a disaster.
Yes, it is. Some countries, all countries have had appalling disasters when it comes to economy. But as we said also at the beginning of the show, many countries have had it much worse than others, strangely enough. It doesn't even seem to bear with the size of population. Maybe the answer is how they dealt with it when it first became a problem in their country. I think we possibly can agree that point. countries earlier on in this pandemic, I'm thinking of Taiwan, Republic of China, and Vietnam and South Korea. They were very much aware and being affected by this virus in early January. I distinctly remember Vietnam giving out warnings to the United Kingdom government, amongst other governments, on the 8th of January. Yeah. The World Health Organization were alerted by a representative from Taiwan, Republic of China, who was talking about COVID-19 on the 31st of December.
Yeah.
South Korea, being near China, was the first country to report a serious problem, and they, in my opinion, acted incredibly swiftly and quickly and fully. They threw everything at it almost. They used all their tools in the toolbox. They disinfected everywhere on a mass scale in public places, and then they fumigated on top of that. So there was 2 levels of disinfecting going on. They were obsessed, if I remember, about lifts. There were sanitizers everywhere, and social distancing was also prescribed, hand washing, and the banning of gatherings as well. By and large, South Korea managed to avoid total full-on lockdowns. And I think it's interesting to know, I'll just share you some figures why I keep...
Okay, share them, because we had a small discussion before we came on show, and I said, no, let's keep that, because I'm listening, not totally agreeing with what you say about South Korea, but go on with the figures.
Well,
go on.
Yeah, I'll just tell you about South Korea. You can
absolutely.
You can, well, we don't even agree to disagree. You full on disagree. I'm very happy about that. No, don't apologise. I'm just trying to find it. Right, here we are. At the moment, South Korea's got 24,700 cases with 433 deaths out of a population of 51.7 million. As I said, they did a lot of disinfecting and all that, but they also did mass testing right from the start. They had tremendous amount of testing kits available, and they were very big on contact tracing.
See, there it starts already. Where I say they had a vast amount on testing kits.
They'd already got that ready, you see.
Yeah, how did this happen?
Because of SARS before, and MERS, when they had these things back 10 years or more, they had, if you remember me telling you on a broadcast we did from Lockdown SK, South Korea had over 25 regional health centers that were dedicated to viruses, pandemics, and all sorts of other nasties like chemicals attacks and all the rest of it. So they had this network already in the infrastructure of the country, and it was in these centers that they had all these testing kits. I did read somewhere, which may horrify a few people, I think it was yesterday, that actually get this, Thomas, South Korea actually offered the British government and other countries help in supplying testing kits, but they were politely refused. I keep making the point that the UK...
but why? See, there must be something behind it. What they want. Why do they get refused testing kits when another country help? There must be, that's what I believe, there must be something else behind it. That's not 100% accurate. That the tests are not working or something, because another country, why do you say no when you want?
Because perhaps there's a bit of national arrogance, perhaps because people...
No, I don't think so. No, I don't think they are this ignorant, to be honest. The politicians say, if ignorance are not losing face, I'm not taking that. I think we're beyond that already. They have to go on the side now of Johnson, do a little bit. So many people criticize him, what he is doing. But you know what? Put yourself in his shoes. Put yourself in his position. He's poor because every direction he moves, he gets criticized.
Yes, okay, it's an incredibly tough, difficult job being Prime Minister, taking ultimate responsibility. Absolutely, Thomas, and of course, I take my hat off to anyone who's in that unfortunate position. But if you're sticking with the example of the UK, I mentioned 2 things then. One is he got this heads up on the 8th of January from Vietnam. And it wasn't the Vietnamese government that were contacting the British government. It was a team of scientists and microbiologists from Oxford University who had been operating in the country of Vietnam for several months before COVID-19 hit the headlines. So we're talking about sort of November, December. And it was the professor from Oxford University, I'm afraid I can't remember his name, who made the calls or the contacts to the British government on the 8th of January, warning them, and please get ready for this pandemic that's going to hit.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know what happened to that message, and I can't answer for the British government and what they did with it, but the message was certainly delivered. Also, on a point, well, you might say Vietnam's figures are a little bit iffy. You know, it was a communist country and it's a state-orientated place, and therefore they're bound to massage the figures. On that subject, the professor that we're talking about, and he had a team of 20 to 30 scientists with him operating throughout the country, they went to test these figures. And by and large, his conclusion were that the government figures were more or less correct to their own computer model. So he did not dispute the main part of the government figures. Okay, there were a few discrepancies here and there. So that's what he believes, and he was from Oxford University. The other thing I'd point about, to answer your point about Boris Johnson, is that his predecessor, Theresa May, we mentioned this a long time ago in Lockdown SK, she ran a very comprehensive exercise. I can't remember the name of it, but it's something like Operation Eagle or something like that. And well, it was, I don't know. It was something like that. And it was something like that. I'm probably wrong. I'm going to get castigated for that. But it was something like that. And it was an operation designed to see how could the UK cope with a mass pandemic of whatever description it was. And do you know what, Thomas? Out of an exhaustive exercise that went on for several days involving all the frontline services, not just the medical services, only one element of that intensive exercise was ever used. And do you know what that was? I'll tell you, I'll put you out of your misery. That one element that was used was the how to write the correct legal legislation of imposing lockdown. Apparently, that's the only thing that they actually drew out and used on a practical basis from that exercise that was done, I think, possibly October 2016. So the idea and notion that no government had advance warning of this thing is not quite right. Okay, they didn't specifically know about COVID-19, perhaps for sure, but they did know that the pandemic was very likely to occur. I mean, I certainly don't know myself that I have read over and over again certain scientists warning for the years that the human race is on the point of extinction and it would just need the tiniest of bugs to wipe us out. So we've kind of known that. And we all remember the awful influenza of 1918. I'm correcting President Trump there. It was definitely 1918. Known as the Spanish flu, but that's actually totally incorrect. It did not originate from Spain, but it killed 50 million people and affected 500 million people. Yeah. And up until COVID-19, it was probably one of the biggest pandemics known on the planet.
Okay, let's go back quickly. No, I agree with you there, man. Let's go back. But we spoke South Korea. We spoke about the figures. We spoke, they offered to give tests, and it's got the client here. Jackie Cherry is saying in, hi Jackie, she's saying regarding that, yes, because the government wouldn't be lining their pockets if they took offers from another country. See, I mean,
I like it, Jackie. Well, you can't blame Jackie holding that view, because we keep forever reading about this PPE contract. I mean, there was one the other day to a company that had only been in operation for 3 days, registered at Company House, and all of a sudden, I can't remember, Medicare or something it was called, I don't know, Medi something, and all of a sudden, they were awarded a contract of 110, 120 million pounds. They'd only been in existence, registered for 3 days. And guess what, Thomas? There was a connection with the directors of that company with someone close in government.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
And that's one of many. Apparently, I've read they're up to £1 billion of PPE contracts that have been awarded recently in the United Kingdom to new fly-by-night companies, for want of a better expression. So, yes, there is a lot of anger out there. And then who can forget the fiasco with the gowns and masks that came in originally from Turkey that had to be sent back because they were of insufficient quality, and also China as well, I think, in the early days.
I get that. That's another thing. What I don't get now, when you talked about South Korea, and are we finishing that now? Because
are we?
Yeah.
I was going to say one other thing about.
Let's move on there, because South Korea, they have the figures. They say it's less. They were testing. They got this very good under control. But when you look on there, they still haven't opened up everything they should.
No, they haven't. And nightclubs are still closed. Absolutely.
They're still seeing closed, so they're carrying on with lockdown.
For that, though. Yeah. But there was the reason for the nightclubs. That's a good example of a targeted approach. They were doing really well for many months went by, and they didn't have any new cases reported, I should say. And then all of a sudden, there was this big cluster of cases that came out of nowhere in the heart of Seoul, and it turns out that it was in this very small area of about 5 or 6 nightclubs, and it was this one man. They reckon just one man infected, I think I read, 1,500 people, because he had it and he went out with, shall we say, gay abandon to gay nightclubs, shall I say. They mentioned that. I don't know why they did, but they did. And he's supposed to be responsible for infecting 1,500 people, and the South Korean authorities picked up very quickly on that and then shut down all those nightclubs in the whole area. One thing I would just say about South Korea finally is that, and this is also a very contentious point, and maybe is the reason why a lot of people in Western countries fear all this contact tracing. Part of the element in South Korea over that was that they were snooping in your bank records and telephone records. Their excuse, of course, is that by looking at your bank records, they know exactly where your plastic has been used in a machine or a retail establishment, and your phone records, it tells you exactly where you've been, so therefore the authorities would know who you've been mixing with. That's the point about that. And that, of course, is the very thing that a lot of people in the UK and probably the United States and across Europe are very reluctant to give all their details.
Give the details away. So you're saying South Korea, there is more cooperation from the public itself.
Yes, absolutely.
I mean,
that's
what they were writing there.
Yes,
These were 2 nightclubs and these were gay nightclubs. I don't agree. You don't need to write who is going to the nightclub, if it's gay, if it's straight. It doesn't matter at all. So it's just singularizing a group out again for me with a news like that. I don't like that at all. But it's a nightclub, simple of it's 2 nightclubs. Yeah,
but it was underhand. It was under the radar. That's
under the radar.
Perhaps they were unlicensed as well, maybe.
Okay, cool. I mean, I personally have to say I do not trust 100% everything what comes out from South Korea.
No, fair enough. I have
a little bit of a problem with that.
Okay.
But no, it's okay. If it's really true and I'm wrong, I'm happy, because this means they got something we should look into and we maybe should follow.
Yes.
Yeah, and here I got Margaret Black is saying, yes, Adrian, you are 100% right about the October staged practice.
Ah, right. Thank you very much, Margaret. That's a relief. Got one thing right.
When I just look now through, I mean, guys, thank you for writing in. Hi, Pierre Towers. Great to see you. Hi, Vivian Toole.
Vivian. Hello, Vivian.
And when I just look
County
in now,
Donegal, what a lovely place.
Yeah, it's a great place, man. Yeah. But when I got in, living with the virus, and when I go and look at a couple of comments here, there's wear a mask. Cherry O.D. saying, I wear a mask out of respect for other people. And that comes because Winnie is writing in and saying, for her is a problem shopping. And this is now one of the groups, one of the danger groups where Winnie is in. She went through chemotherapy, finished beginning of the year, and then from chemo straight into lockdown. So effectively, she hasn't left proper her house since February. And when she tries to leave, she every time gets shocked. And here by our local supermarket, sadly, when she goes, she wears her mask, everybody else, and then you have people coming in who don't wear their mask. So for her is a shock, because she knows she's in the danger group. Yeah?
Yes, that's true.
So now you have a choice. What do you do? Do I carry on shopping or do I leave? And she left. So you know what? That's what I mean. Living with the virus is a complete different ballgame now. We all haven't thought about it proper when the first lockdown came, and now after easing, we still haven't thought about the whole problem proper, and I think it all comes down to enforcing the rules set
across the board, fairly with everybody. That is
fairly. I mean, here
thing,
Anthony is writing in the Netherlands, almost 7,000 new cases. Did we move forward or did we move backward in the last couple of months?
We were moving forward, but then I think at the beginning, perhaps a little bit into when international travel started to take off again, I think we've started to go backwards, definitely. Probably, I think, actually, from early August, actually. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah, man, I just get back here from Lavinia. She said, they were my first 2 outings since February, as I have just finished chemo. Now I don't feel I can go out at all. Yeah. Boom. But carrying on, Elaine Sgoriu is saying, I'm totally confused by all the mixed messages from authorities.
Yes.
I'm not panicking about the virus, but I'm doing my best to respect it. It's completely unacceptable that there is a contingent who have no respect for the fact that others are being careful. Yeah, but it's
Very
in there.
true.
I'm confused, and when you're confused, you don't think. I mean, we are confused. Everybody seems more confused than anything else. We're taking it serious, but with all the comments, with all the guidelines, what's coming out, you're getting confused.
Totally, and you can't blame people for being confused. And then they get even more confused when they keep reading and hearing about certain government ministers breaking the rules. You know, the very people who are drafting up the legislation for all of us good legal citizens to abide by, they're not themselves. So, you know, you can't really blame people for being confused, and that's putting it mildly. Yes, Thomas, can I just go back to a point that Vinny raised? And we wish Vinny all the best. We love to hear from Vinny. Good evening to you, Kalispera to you, Vinny. She made a point about going into a shop, which of course is a lifeline to her and many thousands of others. On that subject, it's been mandatory, legally speaking, here in Greece for the last, I'd say 3 to 4 weeks, that by law, going into a shop or an enclosed space, you have to wear a mask. Do you remember me telling you, Thomas, about 3 weeks ago, I went into a shop that I go to. I'm very choosy of which shop I go to. It's clean up together and all the rest of it, and they limit the numbers of customers at any one time. I went in there, I was with a mask on, and I don't like wearing a mask like anybody else, but you have to do these things if it's going to save lives, not just yours, but other people's, of course. And I noticed pretty quickly in that shop on this one occasion, there were a whole load of tourists, I do believe, just streamed in, and none of them were wearing masks. I tried to explain nicely in English that they should be wearing masks. Totally ignored, laughed in a totally arrogant way.
Got the same experience, man. Same experience. So they just look at you bewildered. And
absolutely.
What you
you were lucky. They didn't even look at me. They just gave me a stony faced look and just disappeared off into the ether, which was the shop. But the point there is that I got to speak to the wonderful shop proprietor, and I said, look, here, this is not right. I try to do a little bit of Greek, but you know me, mispronunciations are the thing, I'm afraid to say, and I wish they wouldn't. But anyway, I made it plain to him, please, could you insist for the safety of your own staff here and every other customer, could you please ask these tourists to put their masks on? And I have to say, Thomas, within less than a minute, he had done just that. I think he spoke to them a few words in German. So they were all masked up by the time. So going back to Vinny, I was wondering whether, Vinny, you could have a quiet word, if you get the chance, with your local shopkeeper and see if he couldn't try and do a little bit more, or maybe he himself has different views to this.
Maybe there should be opening hours for vulnerable groups. You know, there's just
point.
the opening hours. That's for vulnerable groups, and that's it, not for everybody. Because you know
that's
what,
a good one. They did that early on in the United Kingdom. Certain big supermarket chains, definitely Sainsbury's, had a special hour at some point early in the morning to do vulnerable and the older population, shall we say, who statistically are more prone to vulnerability when it comes to COVID-19, and also, sadly, ethnic minorities, I have to say as well. I don't quite understand the biology behind that, but there you go. I can understand with older people and people who have got an underlying illness, but I don't quite understand the ethnic minority connection. I'm not sure about that. Why that would be the case, that's what I mean. I'm not sure. If that indeed it is the case. That's what we're told. But as you keep reminding us, do we believe everything we're told? Probably not.
But here, Jackie is saying, a lot of tourists are saying, no, Jackie Cherry, a lot of tourists are not wearing masks in the coaches, and the all-inclusive hotels are just a breeding ground. See,
yes, that's a good point about the all-inclusives. I have heard that from other people. On the subject of masks in buses and coaches, I mean, I haven't been on one. I just can watch them as they pass by. Yes, I have seen people on coaches not wearing masks, but my experience is that the majority are, and also on the bigger coaches, there's definitely a lot of space between passengers. Although the opposite side of that, of course, is I've seen smaller minibuses absolutely rammed packed. There was no social distancing whatsoever. I'm not going to mention the name of the travel company that was operating such a service, but it's the same travel company I keep seeing breaking what is obviously a rule.
Yeah, and Margaret Johnson is writing in and saying, the same happens here in the UK, Adrian, unfortunately. I have always wore a mask in shops since the beginning of this nightmare situation.
Right,
yeah, and we are the same here. We wear a mask. We try to wear a mask as much as we can. I mean, here in the van, when we sit together, we don't wear any mask. But when we go into the shop, as example, we wear a mask. Into another building, we wear a mask. Totally. Also by filming, we were wearing a mask. We were up at Coffee, we were filming. We were dressed. We were wearing a mask. Indoor filming. So that's it. But it's all the others.
Well, as we might find from our poll,
You know.
there is a hardcore number of people across the globe who simply won't accept that COVID-19 in its so-called present form actually exists. They range from crazy conspiracy theories involving mobile telephony to media conspiracies to government conspiracies, all
it's
in
all
the
over the
name
place.
of getting government control. But I have to say we're pretty united here at Studio Kirkra in the fond belief that total belief that COVID-19 is real and present and extremely dangerous.
It is, and when I'm looking over here now to the poll, we have our survey today. How serious is the COVID-19 pandemic to you? Log on to the poll and vote there. I take it very seriously, 71% of you guys.
Okay.
I don't think it's that serious, 6%. Yeah,
It's gone down.
I don't know what to believe, 19%. No, and it's a hoax, 3%.
So
Oh,
two of them have
there
gone
we go.
down, but we got 3%. We actually, of the 3% that think it's a hoax, please write in and let us know exactly what makes you say that. What's your way of thinking about it? For instance, have you got a specific reason why you think it's a hoax? Or it's just a general feeling? Or you're fatigued with the whole scenario of COVID-19? Which reminds me, I heard someone complain that we were going to have a debate tonight, the first debate of COVID-19.
I know, the first debate on you talk
But
COVID. I mean,
we feel we
it's
have to
out there.
do it because it's the elephant in the room, and let's face it, everybody, just about everybody across the whole globe has in some way or other, like it or not, been affected their lives by COVID-19, some to a greater extent, others to a lesser extent. But I can't think of a single country anywhere in the world that has not had some effect from this pandemic.
Yeah, I mean, that brings me over. I mean, I on one side, I'm happy that there is somebody saying, no, it's a hoax, because we had a big discussion, agree to disagree. That's what we did in the end,
yes.
because I really had a discussion here locally with someone who said, it's a hoax. It's only government conspiracy. There's nothing true. And when I reminded him, I said, mate, just look around yourself. Look what's happening. Look at the media. Look closer at home. We got it here now. He just ignored that all. I said, what is with the cases confirmed here from your government, the people you elected? They telling you we have just over 100 cases. You don't believe the media, so you don't believe anybody. It doesn't matter how you turned it. He just refused to believe it. It's all just economically, there's the rich making themselves more rich, and we poor are gonna pay the price. I said, this has nothing to do if the virus is real or not. And this conversation went for an hour, and then after the hour, I said, okay, mate, let's quit it. Forget about it. Let's just agree to disagree.
I knew you were going to say that.
It's yes, and that's how it came all out. It's ridiculous.
It is, and we know, because we've seen it time and again every night on our television screens, that there's a tremendous amount of thousands of groups of people in the United States who ardently don't believe COVID-19 exists. I mean, we saw those rallies a few weeks back, didn't we? No one wearing a mask, no social distancing.
Yeah, but I tell you, this is all the people who don't believe in it. That's the people who said, no, it's a hoax. That's not gonna affect me. That's not happening. There's something else. And when you ask, what else is there? They can't answer you.
Oh, that's an interesting point. Oh, that's a shame.
But
I wonder what
it's
they're
great.
thinking.
I mean, Vivian is saying the people they think it's a hoax. I'm just guessing, are the non-mask wearers?
Well,
and I think
yes.
she's right there, because if you say, oh, I don't believe, or I'm confused about it, you still wear a mask. Especially when you don't know, you be cautious. Much more than if you know.
You would have thought so.
You thought so. So that must be the people saying, you know what, no, I don't believe that.
And maybe they're the same people that simply don't like being told on any level, on any subject, what to do by the so-called nanny state. There's always been hardcore objectors to that, haven't there? And maybe the hoax people are some of that. But I think maybe there's other people in the hoax. As I say, we'd really like to hear your views on that subject.
Yeah, I mean, here I got a question from Sue Benson in. She said, are the children in Greek schools wearing masks? Interested for comparison with UK? Yes, they have to. They are mandatory. But as soon as they made them mandatory, there were a lot of protests.
Right, yeah. Yes, there
people
were
locking themselves in schools and protested because of wearing of masks. So there were a big problem, and now it's mandatory. That's what it is. There is no question about it. You wear a mask, if you go to school, you have to wear. But there were also then the funny thing here, there's all the masks for the children, what they've been given, were too big. So there were these famous pictures where the mask were all over the face, you know.
And there were lots of rude comments on Facebook about that, weren't there?
There were a lot of things, but you know what? Okay, they do big. Why do you have to scream that loud when they do big? Just make them fit. You know, I don't understand. And I don't want to have a go at somebody, but you know what? There's moms out there who can make masks.
Absolutely, yes. And
so you get that mask free given. Why don't you adapt it to your child? Why do you have to put a stupid picture on to the social media? Look, they do big, they do big, they do big. You got them for free. You didn't even have to pay for them. So they're looking after your kids, and the only thing, you know, and I say it now, the only thing they are doing is taking the piss.
Yes, it's also very negative, isn't it?
It is, but yes, no, they have to wear masks. And if parents say to their kids, you know, don't wear masks, I think, you know, come on. And some of the kids said, no, I don't feel, I'm starting sweating. I think I'm the same. I sweat easily. So for me, wearing a mask is somehow a little bit of torture. Yes. And it's not comfortable, especially in a supermarket I'm in longer because I do a weekly shop to minimize my trips. Yeah. Yep. But it's really, really uncomfortable for me. I don't like it, but hey.
No, I hate it as well, particularly, you're all right for the first 5 minutes, I find, but after 5 minutes in a shop, it does get a bit stressful for me. But there you go, we have to do it, and we have done it, and we will continue to do it, however uncomfortable it may be, because, in my opinion, you must put other people first to their health, and obviously yourself as well. And it's absolutely proven the case that it is the droplets that are propelled or expelled into the air that you can't see unless it's a particularly cold day. You just can't see. They did a test, didn't they, with an opera singer lady, and that everybody was really surprised to see just how far these droplets went. And it's those droplets that can be breathed in and then gradually get into your system. And it only takes, I think, about a day or so before it gets down into your lungs, and then
and goes.
And then a few more days after that, you're certainly suffering from COVID-19. Mind you, the other thing that we should point out here is that the nature of the suffering of COVID-19 does seem to vary a lot, both with people and in the effects. It's not just a lung and respiratory problem. We said this a few months ago when we were broadcasting, that they've discovered it has an impact on the brain and therefore the nervous system. I distinctly remember there's a young professor from Cambridge, I think he was, and I was only 40-something, and he had all these strokes. He was in intensive care, and he had all these strokes. And they put that down to COVID-19 in that particular gentleman's case, affecting his nervous system and in something in the brain. They're still really trying to unravel it all, aren't they, really, this COVID-19?
Totally.
Because it is a new virus, and it isn't just a question of, it's another form of flu, it's another form of a coronavirus. Yes, it is a coronavirus, but it's unlike any other coronavirus that has since gone before. That's the key point here.
Yeah, I mean, Elaine is saying, what about the airlines too? When I came in August, and again, a couple of weeks ago, everything was strict with regards to masks wearing in the UK airport. And when being seated on the plane, but with food and drinks being served on a 2-3 hour flight, many obviously removed their masks. Is there really any need to serve when the flight length is so short?
No.
The virus becomes non-existent while eating? Question mark. It's right. You know, you think the virus is gone. I'm eating now. There's no virus around me. That's the whole thing. We are not taking that as serious as we should do.
No,
we don't protect ourselves. I mean, Lavinia is saying, those thinking it's a hoax should speak with my friend Tom, who is an ICU consultant in a large technical hospital. He will not agree that this is a hoax. It is real. Yeah, look at the hospital. I get more
exactly.
in. I mean, here, it's great. Adam, James, hi Adam, is saying, same things happened in 1918 pandemic. We haven't learned. Yeah,
no,
obviously.
So,
but for people who breaking the rules, who really don't wear any masks, Anthony is saying it. People don't believe COVID does not exist and don't wear masks and don't social distancing. Please wear a necklace with the text, please do not bring me to a hospital and do not help me. I don't believe COVID is real.
Maybe he could add DNR onto that one as well. Do not resuscitate.
Yeah, I mean, it's the thing, and that's what splits the country, and not just here in Greece, everywhere in the UK. I spoke with people who said, you know what, you can get really into an aggressive discussion with non-believers, where they say, you know what, no, it's a conspiracy. They just want to get us down. I'm not changing the way I live. So,
No.
and that can get really, really nasty.
Absolutely. Just quickly going back to a point, I think it was our viewer Elaine, was it, that mentioned about aircraft in August. If you remember, when they resumed international flights, all the airlines agreed that they were going to have masses of room between each passenger. There was going to be no more than, I think, 60% load factor, and they were not going to serve food or drink on any flights. That's how it started off. And talking to a couple of friends I've got working in the airline industry, they kind of confirmed that in the early days that was the case. But during the height of, shall we say, the season, mid-August or towards the end of August, I think some of these things had slipped. And before you know it, you were having almost full flights, with only about 5 or 6 empty seats, just in case someone was taken ill right at the very back of the plane. And food and drink in a limited way was being served. So it kind of makes a mockery of this. You must wear a mask from the minute you enter the airport building to the moment you get out the other side of the airport building of your destination. There was a famous case recently, wasn't there, when some passengers took some film on board an airline flight, possibly from Corfu, I'm not sure, or Greece, back to the United Kingdom, and they were very angry indeed with the passenger in front of them, and there was all sorts of a hoo-ha about that. And actually, most of the passengers were horrified that this one person would not wear a mask, and the staff, so they said, were not enforcing it. That's another point.
See, that's the enforcing is the next thing.
Yes,
we're making rules and people are confused because, there's no confusion. It's the same when you drive with a car. You know you're not allowed on the motorway to go faster than 70 miles an hour.
Yeah.
You go faster than 70 miles an hour, they catch you, bomb, you pay.
Yes,
but it doesn't seem to be the same with them wearing a mask. Here I'm getting on. Vivian says that's a great one. Vivian said people that get caught without a mask should be made to do a full shift on a COVID ward. ... without mask. So that's one of the thing. But when you look to Stuart Maroney is saying shops in England don't enforce the mask wearing because it's not a law. If the government made it into a law, the shops would have to comply. See, now we're getting closer to the whole song. Exactly.
For reminding us
why is there not exactly? Yes. Why is there? It's Europe. We have this worldwide. This is a worldwide virus. Why there are not regulations in place? Doesn't matter, especially in Europe. Now, doesn't matter where you go. That's what it is.
Well, that's what, funny you should say that. That's what they were hoping for at the very early days of the pandemic, as being in the EU, all the 27 states that are remaining in the EU would do that, exactly that. It would act as one unit. But very early on, there were 3 countries, one of them was Hungary, who just wouldn't play ball.
Ignore, exactly. There's Poland, always one in there who just doesn't play.
And perhaps, I don't want to criticise her, perhaps there wasn't strong enough leadership from the head of the EU at that crucial time. But we said before, it's a very difficult thing trying to govern hundreds of millions of people. It's not easy, and you're never going to get everyone 100% on board, but you try your best. And I think the EU as a whole have tried their best. They have agreed on at least one thing, and that is, in recent times at least, it is this traffic light system, isn't it? The yellow and the green and the red and the orange. They've agreed that, and that seems to be working, I think, touch wood, across the EU. And we've seen or heard tonight that the UK is kind of following suit in its own kind of way.
Yeah, but when you look in and say, okay, they're still not wearing any mask, it's still not compulsory to wear masks.
That's what we don't understand. No,
exactly. That's where the whole thing comes about, and people are getting confused. And when you travel now through Europe, or we looking into a few countries at the same time, what's going on? It's really confusing because the rules are everywhere different. Okay, it has to do with the amount of cases, but I think we can agree on everything on that. This was when I say now, it's everywhere going up.
Yes,
and it's gonna get worse.
Most countries are going up. There's a few bright spots, but the majority of populated countries are going up. And it seems sad, doesn't it, that countries that perhaps Czech Republic is an example here, where they thought they'd got the better of this COVID-19 a few months back, only to come back with a vengeance. And I think Czech Republic has released some very dark and depressing figures in recent days. People say there that the cause of that second wave was that massive street party they had a few months back on King Charles Bridge. Maybe. It does seem to be the case that when you have mass public events, there does seem to be a springing up of all sorts of proliferation of COVID cases emanating from that one event. Of course, there are always people who disagree with that. In the UK, there was the Anfield football match, was there not? And also the Cheltenham Gold Cup Festival that was allowed to go ahead, and there's loads of people.
Yeah, but exactly. I mean, I saw this here last. Yeah, sorry, but it was here too. A few days ago, they had this Corfu trial run in the evening. 240 participants were running through Corfu Down, through the old town, and there were a lot of spectators around. And then I say, okay, there's a rule, not more than 50, I think, at the moment.
Yeah, that's right.
What happened here?
I don't know.
So it's also the local authorities who failing the people, and not just the general government.
No, agreed. Because it's devolved in many cases from the main government down to local government. On that very event you're talking about, there was evidence that most participants were wearing masks, but what there was also evident was there was very little social distancing, and you make a very good point, there were a lot of competitors or participants, weren't there, in that? Certainly more than 50.
Yeah, but 240, absolutely. I read it in the newspaper, 240 participants, and it was great, and what a fantastic event. And we are all there. Runners were wearing masks, some were not wearing a mask, the organizer was staying. What hurt me, there were an Olympic athlete, a Greek Olympic athlete there, posing for pictures. He didn't wear a mask once.
Right, okay.
And they say, okay, you know what, but the sport activities now, what we have with football, okay, the small clubs have a problem because they need bums on their seats in the games, otherwise they can't run financially. And now they're talking about, let's bail smaller football clubs out. Seriously?
Well,
let's bail something out. Is it not more important to get now the thing sorted, to get a strategy together, so everybody knows, everybody's on the same page, and we can contain that? But I'm getting more and more things in here, and people are really upset. And here, Beat Hours again. For most people, it thinks it's a hoax already. Maybe they have affected their brain. But if that's a hoax, then every media company around the world must be part of the hoax too.
Yeah.
And the chances of that are
exactly. Well said, Pierre.
So well said. It's fantastic. But we're getting more and more, and because it's Bill, we are saying global travel and tourism, education, retail and leisure are all bottlenecks and contamination hotspots. Wear masks and social distancing and stay at home. Currently working at a private university in Switzerland.
Right.
We have over 120 students from 20 plus countries in 7 religions, and I'm the dinner lady / mask monitor. Currently my job is hell, and I'm not allowed to travel overseas.
Right.
So it's,
they're taking it very seriously on that.
It's serious. How can I have schools, university opens when we know now this is hotspots? And they have, especially in Scotland, there is a problem with the universities.
Yes, there is, yes.
They have a big increase in positive cases. We should learn from that. Why don't we learn from what's going on? Why don't we see that?
That's a good question. And the other question is, why are some universities in the UK refusing entrance? All of their coursework is being currently done online, and Oxford and Cambridge and London, I do believe, Manchester, have announced that there will be no face-to-face lessons throughout the whole of 2021, would you believe? So there we have the top, if you like, universities in the United Kingdom all saying no face-to-face, but lots of other universities and colleges and all the rest of it that are still doing that. It's a mixed picture, isn't it? It's all over the place, basically, and that has been an ongoing theme here right from the very beginning, I think, early days. During lockdown, or particularly when lockdown restrictions started to be eased, it has been very much all over the place, hasn't it?
It has, and this has all to do, I think, with trying to save the economy, trying to get that wheel going, let it roll, and that's in one thing is not possible, and that's the effect. That's not living with the virus makes everything so different. The sooner we accept that it's here, the sooner we know, okay, we have all to work together. Wear your mask, wash your hands, keep social distancing. Sooner we can restart the whole thing. So I think they're going completely the wrong way at the moment with it. But you know what? It's just one of my opinion. But here, Bill is saying in Lucerne that fits now. In Lucerne we used to have hundreds of busloads of international tourists from all over the world.
Yes. Yeah.
Today maybe 1 or 2 per day.
Right.
This, I feel, will take 3 to 5 years to get back to normal, and that's what this is all about. They're trying to get that back to normal, and that's where we going wrong. There is no going back to normal. We have to make ourselves a new normal because it's here, and as long as we don't have a vaccine, we can do absolutely nothing. We cannot win that fight.
No, and some people are warning us not to be too excited about a vaccine either. I don't think it's going to be launched anytime soon, probably next year. But there are these scientists that have continually warned that even if there is a breakthrough and a development and an effective vaccine, they're not necessarily 100% certain that it's going to be good for everybody to have. There's so many doubts still at that stage. Although we should take heart in the fact that there are well over 100 separate vaccination programs of various stages of development right across the globe. Some look more promising than others. But, you know, Thomas, it must be a hell of a task and a hell of a stressful job to try and deliver an effective vaccine. China's making good noises about that, and they would have enough spare millions of doses to start exporting. There does seem to be a little bit of a national pride in this, doesn't it? A little bit of a race going on. You've heard about the arms race. Well, at the moment, I think there's a bit of a vaccination race going on.
It's like Anthony says here. Some people think money is more important than health.
Well,
that's spot on with that one.
Yes, Anthony, they do indeed, and that's why we probably is one of the reasons why we're in this bit of an impasse situation at the moment. Along with the fact that I keep going back to this point, that if you make these rules and you are doing your best to get everybody to adhere to them, then your own colleagues, the very lawmakers themselves, are not sticking to the rules. I don't think anything gets up more people's backs than that one, quite frankly. And we've had so many examples, not just in the United Kingdom, but in other countries as well. Absolutely, yes.
So, and for everybody who just logged in, that's our new show, Agree to Disagree. We can talk about anything you like. So every show is another topic. This topic today is COVID-19, living with the virus. And if you have something to say it. Write in to inbox at studiokerkhörer.com, or if you want to talk with us live here on the show to highlight good things, to highlight something bad, or you want to talk or you don't agree what we say, don't be shy. You can call us always on Skype at Studio Kerkhörer, and you can talk with us live here on the show. When I watch over to the other side now, there's a lot of messages coming in, and everybody, thanks God, most of you guys out there are responsible and wearing masks and take all the necessary precautions to carry on with the daily life. But I think it's not gonna go back to normal. We have to start thinking of the new normal. How can we make it better? How can we rearrange things in our life regarding private and work, of course? And I think that's gonna be a big struggle.
Yes, well, I mean, that's another case in point, isn't it? At the early days, after lockdown, there was this tremendous drive, and it seemed to be working, of people working from home. And then, I guess, where was it? Early August, suddenly messages from many governments were the reverse of that. Oh, it's perfectly safe to go back and work in your office in town, and you can be assured that you'll be safe on public transport. Well, I read a lot of reports that actually said there was a great reluctance of people to suddenly go rushing back to work. They were very concerned about public transport, and the figures bear that out, because ticket sales, I mean, Transport for London and the United Kingdom, for instance, is almost virtually at financial breaking point. They've lost so much money in lost revenue that they are desperately needing £1.8 billion for an emergency injection of funds, for instance.
Yeah.
Ticket sales right across the board of public transport are well down. And the other thing, here's something positive. We're, lost in a sea of negative news. Here's something positive. Would you believe, Thomas, some panel of experts, I can't remember who it was, or organisation.
So you can carry on talking, and I have to open the van door because it's getting hot in here.
Yes, it is. I'm in short sleeves at the moment. We're having a bit of a sweaty one. But anyway, at least it's not lightning and thundering and all the rest of it. But anyway, would you believe that when a lot of countries, I'm talking about particularly the United Kingdom, when most people were working from home and not risking going into work and using public transport, a few months later, they've got some statistics in now, number crunchers, that's what it is, and they have decided or found out, shall we say, that work productivity, you'll like this one, has actually increased by 20% since more people were working at home. How they can quite quantify that, I'm not absolutely certain, but it's a very interesting and quite a positive statistic, isn't it?
Yeah, I just look over here and caught myself out there. Okay, I just had to open the van door, guys, because it was start getting really warm. The rain has stopped. The thunderstorm, I think, is gone. But
Yes,
no,
we have a nice
you're
cool
totally
breeze
right.
coming in now. Very delightful.
It's right. No?
Yes.
But let me go back to our show poll from tonight.
Oh,
How
yes,
serious
good
is the COVID-19 pandemic to you? And there we have, I take it very seriously, 74%.
Right.
I don't think it's that serious, 5%.
Oh, it's going down.
I
each
don't
time.
know what to believe, 18%.
Okay.
And it's a hoax still on 3%. So we
Right.
had somebody in there who said, "Oh, I think it's a hoax," and I think you're so wrong, mate. Okay, you know.
But please tell us why you do think it's a hoax, because we here at the studio are having difficulty to understand why you might think that. We really don't know what goes on in the internal workings of your brain. I have trouble working out my own internal workings, but we'd absolutely love to hear why it is or what it is that makes you feel that way. Please share us that view, if you would be so good as.
Yes, and discuss this with us. But if you think there's also great projects out there, what now in these difficult times support your community and people, let us know about that. We would love to talk to these people, and we would like to love to highlight it and show them, so more people find out, or more people can say, you know what, that's great. I can do the same in my community. That's what it's all about here.
Totally. Community and that famous word, collaboration.
Collaboration.
That's the word. It's one of our favourite words, that was, wasn't
Definitely.
it, back in lockdown,
Yeah.
SK.
But Tom Giddings is also saying, watched someone in the Parliament broadcast earlier using their mask to clean their glasses. So
Oh,
there
lovely.
you see,
Well
it's,
spotted,
it's
Tom.
going
Well done.
back with leading by example.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
if the government is not doing it, I mean, I don't even get started now on this Trump overseas, because that makes we have to do an own program just for that man.
Well, I think we've got a special coming up on that one, isn't it? It was a very witty title, but that's later on in our series of Agree to Disagree.
Okay, yeah.
You know, we are in Greece, and it seems absolutely natural for us to host such a program from here. It was, after all, considered in Western civilization to be the birthplace of debate and argument, I guess, and maybe democracy. There's a big word. We'll be returning to that word later on. That's another subject altogether. But debate, that's what we're doing, and today's subject is this infernal, horrible pandemic of COVID-19.
COVID-19.
So please keep your comments coming, whatever they may be, on the subject of COVID-19, particularly if you're one of those people who thinks it's a hoax, but also maybe a bit more from the people who simply and frankly say to themselves, I simply don't know what to believe. Yeah, I can understand you might have that view, but perhaps you could share a little bit more.
I understand that completely,
Yes,
mate.
yeah,
I tell you now, because with every information what comes out, you get more and more confused. There is no straight ruling on anything. British government or here in Greece at the moment too, or look, Germany, it doesn't matter. There's other countries now where they say, you know what's happening. They don't make a concrete decision, and that's what's needed. We all need to know exactly what should we do, how should we do it, and the most important thing is it has to be enforced.
Yes, totally.
There's no enforcing anywhere.
And to stick with it, because that's the other recurring theme here in some countries. They come out, they agree a set of rules, for want of a better word, shall we say, but then all of a sudden they slightly tweak it, slightly change it, and then somebody in cabinet will say something completely different, and before you know it, it's not fully being implemented. And as you say, yes, recently though, Thomas, they've tried to do something about that in the United Kingdom, and I think in lots of other countries in Europe. They've drastically increased the fines, especially for people that are silly enough to have house parties. I mean, that fine has gone up to a staggering £10,000.
Yeah, but have you heard any reports? Does anybody got fined?
Yes, this poor the student
A
in the West
student,
Midlands.
but you can't tell me there's only one student
No,
party
I
going
think-
on in the United Kingdom,
there were-
and the rest is not. I think this is all.
There
Sorry.
were some rave people who got prosecuted. I think there were 3 people who held an illegal rave. I can't remember where this was, United Kingdom, and they got slapped with £10,000 fines. But I don't know of that many. No,
No,
if they're
and
not being
that's the
reported,
thing,
of
you
course.
know. This is just not just, they're reporting the big fines. Here, they should report how much money they make with the smaller fines.
Well, That's another subject.
Yeah,
Yes, I mean the
but I
smaller
don't- I
fines
don't
are
think
1,500, aren't they? I think.
Sorry?
Something like that. I think smaller fines can amount to 1,500. They seem to go up in increments. If you keep perennially breaking the rules and regulations, they seem to double, and then they grow up by a very large extent. So they may start off with a £150 fine for non-wearing a mask, but I can absolutely sure that if you were continually stopped for not wearing a mask, that fine would definitely rise. Yeah,
exactly. But there is nothing like that going on anywhere. So why should people bother? That no, it's okay. It's that just gets me. I hear saying Peter Pauli UK needs 150 fine like Greece. Yeah, of course it does. Here you grab, but we see it here too. Where are they enforcing it? In down. The pass here is Corfu down. They look in there. That's where they enforce it. Out here, I have seen nothing.
No.
I see people going into the supermarkets locally here wearing no mask because it's normal. I just walk in for cigarettes or for a bottle of milk. Just for one thing I go in, so I don't need to wear a mask. The police officer drives past, stop, looks in, sees them, says hi mate, and carries on. So that's the reality, mate.
Yes, I've seen that myself, Thomas. I'm aware of that. Yeah. In some countries, United Kingdom, another example, many big supermarkets have mask marshals. We've heard from the gentleman, didn't we, in Switzerland, who is actually one of those in Switzerland. But there are quite a few of those in the United Kingdom. I think one major supermarket chain took on thousands of mask marshals, would you believe?
Yeah.
But we have not seen
we have not seen anything,
here,
not reported
no,
anything,
yet,
and that's it. I mean, I got an email in earlier, and I revealed that now quickly, and more or less, I don't want to mention the name, I don't want to go in, but he asked me not to. But he said he totally agrees with Boris, not with Boris, he totally agrees with one of a group. I don't want to name the group too, because this is just advertising them, but they believe full power, let it burn out.
Right, okay.
Let it just, no rules, no restrictions, nothing, just carry on as normal, because with our economy, everybody gonna die. That's their thing. If we don't go, then the economy dies, everybody else is gonna die, and that's it. We're gonna all starve. So what do you want? Do you want to starve to death, or you want to risk 3% of the population? Well, so they rather risk the 3% of the population, but we have our economy in place, we can still survive. But if we don't, we go hungry, we're gonna all starve. So which of the two evils do you choose? He asks in the email.
It's a bit
straight away. What do you want to choose?
Yeah,
do
I
you
would
want
say
to choose?
It's a bit simplistic, to be honest with you.
I know it's hard to
whoever
read.
that is, but that's that person's opinion. I mean, I absolutely know loads of people who would very vehemently and strongly disagree with that. I have an opinion. I think human life is more important than money in your pocket or the economy. Every world economy is absolutely shattered. There's no question about that. But look, we are seeing and have seen in certain countries, we can name them if we wish, that the governments are doing their best to try and, economically speaking, muddle through. There has been a lot of hope that come next year things will pick up to normal, but of course with second waves growing day by day, that does become a little bit of a distant prospect. It is a moral issue at the end of the day, is it not, Thomas? Is it human life or
it's
the economy?
The economy. I mean, Peter Pauli just say he's disagreeing from what I saw in Corfu 4 weeks ago. Maybe a smaller village it is happening, but I'm never sure about it. I don't know. I don't know what you're disagreeing with, Peter. Here, I mean, I saw that here. I live here all year long, and I see this. And we have a lot of meetings in Corfu Town. When I go into Corfu Town, I see a lot of rule breakers in there, and I see the police going on their mountain bikes, on their motorbikes through Old Town, and just looking at them, and that's it. Also in supermarket, I saw it. It's happening all over the island, not just in the smaller villages. Just they ignore that. I saw this in the big Lidls in Corfu Town. It's happening. People go in. Security guy said, "Oh, wear your mask." The guy just blown back at him, and the security guy walks away.
Yeah,
that's exactly what's happened. I saw this with my own eyes. Even the new A&B supermarket down is the same story. The security got in to something there. They had to call the police because these guys started fighting with each other. Yeah. Because the guy who walked in, or the group of guys who walked in, they say, "It's not existing. What are you? You just panicking everybody. Stop scaremongering." Only because the security guard asked them to wear their mask. And I have to tell you now, it was the most of the rule breakers I saw were tourists.
Yes, I can fully believe that, Thomas. Yeah. I mean, you've always got your hardcore, don't want to have any interference from the government whatsoever. And perhaps many of those are either older people that lived here in past times when government was very different here in Greece, or maybe young people who just won't accept being told what to do by some overseeing government.
Probably, but this is also, there's people out there saying, "No, yes, I follow the rules, I'm going on there." And then you see them mingling in different festivities and taking selfies with the event organizer next to each other. They don't know each other. They just, they just met there. But no mask. No mask.
No. And what about handshakes?
And then I say, I always wear a mask. It's not true.
No. Well, there you go.
So, and it's, it's not as they want to floor the whole thing. No, of course not. But you have to get used to the new life, living with the virus. And I think now, just to round it up, the whole thing, people, including us here, man, we haven't got used to it 100%.
No,
we're forgetting sometimes. We're still forgetting, when we're honest.
Yeah, I would agree that we can definitely slip up. I think mask wearing is something where Asian viewers of ours are synonymous. It's been in their mindset for a long time, at least 20 years. It is not so the case in Western Europe or North America, to be fair. But I would say that there's more wear masks than don't. I would definitely say that with my own personal observation here.
I mean, but yes, it's got much more.
Yeah, you're quite right.
Definitely.
And the viewer was quite right. It all falls down in lack of implementation of these agreed rules. That's where it falls down. And if you don't get to grips with that, it's only going to deteriorate further, isn't it?
But here I just want to say to Peter, man, this thing is not personally made, of course not. But in this thing, I have to say, I agree to disagree. We have to agree to disagree there, because you're promoting the island. You want to make the island look beautiful and seeing it is, and this is fantastic. We should be promoted,
of course
but we should also stay by the truth here too. And when you're here 4 weeks and you haven't seen anyone breaking anything, I don't believe that. Or I got wrong what you said. I have no idea. But you know what? There has to be, definitely, there is rule breaking going on. And we saw that a few days ago with this running event through Corfu Down. But you can't say to me, but all the rules that are laid out now at the moment, that this was a legal event. It was not.
No.
And I spoke with someone from the municipality, from the council itself. And he said, no, it was not right. But nothing they done about it. They just let it happen. This went over. No, not even any penalties now. What? No, because it got put the stamp from the municipality. You all right. So endangering how many other lives?
Absolutely.
Sorry, I just have to say that. It's
no, that's right. Because again, that's the core issue. It's not these rules that have been agreed to safeguard as many people as possible are simply not being effectively implemented, are they? They can't be. There may be reasons why that is the case. I don't think it's all a matter of down to economics. I mean, on that one, I think maybe perhaps if we can say that they're misguided, they're more concerned about personal liberties and freedoms. I don't know. I can't speak for the municipality or any of the event organisers. There have been other photographs, not just that event that we mentioned recently in Corfu Town. There have certainly been other photographs posted on social media, particularly Twitter, from Corfu, showing enclosed spaces, no social distancing and no masks.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's a particularly
good
and
I saw so many
either.
Yeah, and I saw a lot of posts from people who come here 2, 3, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, or a year, saying, "Oh, how important it is to wear a mask. Oh, please go and follow the rules." And then every picture you see what they post, they're not wearing a mask.
Right, marvelous, isn't it?
So great, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
So doing one thing and then saying one thing and then doing another, it's also not on. So we have to grab us by our own nose and say, okay, we have to live with this virus until we find a vaccine, until we find a cure. We have to live with it, and we all have to follow the rules. And yes, it's hard to get used to living with the virus.
Absolutely.
That's all the discussion. What is it today? It's hard to get used to, and we have to somehow pull ourselves together and say, okay, come on, I have to do that if I like it or not.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't like to wear masks. Let's be honest here now.
I don't.
We had a discussion about that. No?
Yes, absolutely. I don't, because to me, it's a totally unnatural thing. If a human being was meant to wear a mask, we'd have our mouths sealed at birth. It's just not right. We need our mouths to breathe, to talk, to express ourselves. That's what we are. We're human beings, after all. But of course, when it comes, I can see the logic. I totally see the logic, Thomas. When you're in an enclosed space, or you're in an area where you're festooned with people all around you, I totally get it that is the best thing to do for all sorts of reasons, to put a mask on. But on a personal level, if I was, say, going through my entire day and I had to have a mask on, forget about eating and drinking for a minute, I had to wear a mask the whole time I was outside of the house, wherever I was, I would have such serious difficulty physically, it's not a mental thing, physically doing that I would become a hermit. I just wouldn't want to go out, because it does physically affect me. I think it's between 5 and 10 minutes. I can do 5 minutes, not a problem. But when it gets to probably the 10-minute mark, I'm starting to do all that business, and I can't help it.
I don't get it, because you have no respiratory.
I've had a lot of chest infections and pneumonias in the past, and I'm a heavy smoker, to be honest.
Now we're getting there.
Well, yes, I admit that. Anyone who knows me knows that I'm a heavy smoker, and I have to be fair and honest here and say that smoking is also believed to be a contributory factor to the spreading of COVID-19. So technically, I shouldn't be anywhere with other people outside smoking a cigarette. I should be very much insulated and private if I chose to do that. But yes, that is true. Anyway, no, back to a personal thing. I don't like wearing masks.
I know, but it's necessary.
Have to do that. Yes, because
you're not going off it. You're wearing it. When you have to, you wear it. You're not getting around it.
No, and I don't have. It's not a thing about, I don't like being told what to do, or it's an imposition put on me by someone else. No, it's only because physically I don't like it. Let's say this: if my mask had if I had one of those upmarket, sophisticated N95 masks, or whatever they are, that have the little bit of a round thing with air holes, maybe I would have a completely different experience. But when I've been wearing both a reusable cloth mask, or indeed a cheap disposable medical mask that slaps the mouth and nose all in one, after 10 minutes I am seriously uncomfortable and experiencing mild problems. I'm not suggesting it's hectic, and I would not take it off. I mean, they have occasionally fallen off my ear because I've got funny ears, but when that happens, I'm straight back on it. There is no, I'm not putting out an objection. I'm not demonstrating. It's not a political will or anything like that. I have no qualms in the government, of any government, telling me that I must wear a mask here, there, or everywhere. Although I would say that if they imposed it when I was sitting alone in a car, for instance, and there was no one else in the car, then I would think, hang on a minute, that's gone too far, because I'm in an enclosed environment, or my house, for instance. If I'm inside.
But there's a good thing now coming in. Sue Benson is writing in and saying, Adrian, and I like that now. Adrian, can you wear a face visor? Because that's not laying onto your mouth at all.
Well, I would love to do that. Yes, but the negative on that is, and I'm not the
Batman.
No, that would be great. I don't have a problem with that. Fantastic. But I've read, and I don't know how valid this is, but I've absolutely read that wearing see-through faced visors are not actually that effective in combating COVID-19. Now, that's
why should it
other
not
people.
Be,
No, it's not my view. It's not my view, Thomas. That's what I've read. I don't know.
Should it not be effective? Like, you got the gloves there, you can feel the breath.
I think there's a notion that the virus goes under and out, or up and out, either way. Well, no, this is what I've read. Here's a good time when we would love to hear from someone who's got an angle on this, because we certainly haven't got an angle about the effectiveness of this mask or that mask. But maybe one of our viewers somewhere in a corner of the world knows exactly the answer to that question as to why a Perspex face covering is not quite so 100% effective as, say, a reusable or a medical mask. I do believe, though, N95s and better offer a better level of protection, both for other people and the mask wearer, and also possibly are more comfortable and bearable to wear, and probably better for longer periods of wearing. I myself, Thomas, would quite like to give that a go, actually.
I think it's a shield way, so you don't have that on your face, like you say, and it should be better. But
Yes,
they must work, otherwise they wouldn't give this to restaurants and others.
Well,
and when you
it's a
look at the
debatable
face
point.
shields,
I'm not qualified
you
to
know,
answer that
they use
question.
this
I
in
don't
hospitals.
know. I mean, personally speaking, I would much rather be served by
Yeah.
someone wearing a face shield than I would by a blooming mask.
Well,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Because
definitely.
you can see their eyes. You can see whether they're smiling or frowning and all the rest of it. When you're covering up half your face, to me, it's psycho. You see, I think the bottom line, the problem is that to me, someone approaching me with their face covered, it's a threatening thing. And that's probably
what?
a threatening thing because
You're feeling threatened
well, yes, because of the days of the garage years ago when I was, held up at knife point with masked raiders and all of that. That the idea of a face in a retail environment is a bit of a problem because it's a bad thing. You know, of course, that's not talking about now with COVID-19. That's
that's the thing where you and me have to agree to disagree.
Well, all right. How many times
it's
have you been?
Because now at the end of the day, let me my opinion now on that one. It's you know what, I turn around for that so I can see you for the thing. So my thing is now, to be honest, it's a virus. Yeah. Yes. So when I go out, I have to protect myself. I have to protect everybody else out there. No. So it becomes the new normal. That's what we're trying to establish. Living with the virus, things gonna change. So there shouldn't be a debate. Oh, I'm uncomfortable with that. Oh, I don't really want that. Or I think I'm sweating and I have a nightmare wearing it. But I don't complain about it. I don't.
Well, I don't do it. I'm just saying. I'm being honest about it. That I don't like it because I don't think it's a natural human being and thing to do for human beings. I really don't. And the point about having a Perspex face mask, I'd love that because that would solve a lot of the problems that I would have with a mask. Absolutely. But I'm only reporting what I've read, that apparently, according to the medical experts, they're not 100% sure that they are
they're not 100% sure, but any of the face masks used at the moment. So when you use the N95, you have is the highest percentage of being safe.
Yes,
the N95
I haven't
masks
worn one. I've
are
never
the best.
tried one.
Exactly.
I don't know.
They cost a little bit more.
They do,
so people are looking in, okay, I buy a €2 one from the supermarket, I throw it on. It's about just to have some kind of face coverings. If you sneeze or if you cough quickly, and we have that when you go, you cough quickly, it goes into the mask.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. And so it should when you're out in public. Absolutely.
It makes no difference.
You have to put other people first.
Totally. When we have to discuss now, yeah? Oh, I don't like because of this reason and this reason. It's not encouraging other people to wear them. So everybody, there's people, you know, you
no, I've
other
said
people
that in
excuses.
relation to you saying to me about why can't we all wear Perspex masks? I'd love that to be the case. I'm just unfortunately remembering things that I've read in recent times from so-called experts who claim, as I say, we're not experts here. We do not know. So if you are out there, and there must be one or two of you that are, perhaps you could fill us in with why maybe a face Perspex mask is not as good as a medical or a reusable material mask. There's another point about apparently early days of mask wearing in the West, they were querying what type of material, as apparently some materials are much better than others, would you believe? I think silk rated quite highly, but not everyone can afford to get their hands on a silk mask.
But I'm looked in there, and Claire looked in there, our producer, in getting silk masks there. And it's not true. You can get a silk mask for €3-4, mate.
Great.
It's definitely out there. So there is solutions out there. There is stuff out there what can be done. But what I mean now, where I got a little bit, not upset, but, you know, talkative now with you there, is that we shouldn't highlight why we don't want to wear a mask. We should just wear a mask and
yes, well, we do.
I do.
We've made that very
clear. But it's
clear.
not just you. Exactly. No. That's a problem I encountered by a lot of people. Not just you now. I'm not singling you out here, mate. Where people say, oh, you know what, I don't like the mask. The first thing, it's negative. So we have to put our mindset now. Because it shouldn't be anything negative connected in wearing a mask.
That's a big step to take. Yes, okay.
I don't know if that's
wrong.
It's essential. It saves lives, mate.
Yeah, but it's
so.
I still think that's a big move to make. And yes, it can happen, and it can only happen with everybody doing it. That's the other thing here. Nothing gets up people's backs more, as we've already heard from some of our viewers. Everybody's mandated to wear a mask inside a shop. And nothing irritates a lot of people more than when they're masked up inside a shop when lots of other customers are not. And there's no implementation on behalf of the staff or there's no marshals, for instance, at making sure that happens. That is a bad thing, in my opinion.
It's a bad thing, but what I want to say with that is the positivity. See this positive, not always negative. Everything what comes out in the moment, you get first a negative reaction of everything, and that's not right. It is personal. Okay, I don't like it to wear masks either, but I can't get down on that now because I have a mask.
Unfortunately, I haven't tried.
It's the new normal. We have to get used. Living with the virus is totally different.
I personally haven't tried enough sorts. I've only tried 2, which is a basic medical mask and a reusable material mask. I would be interested to know what an N95 is like to wear, or indeed a silk mask, for instance. I mean, I'll tell you what, I'm desperately trying to find an old silk scarf that I have. Can I find it? No, because I reckon that would be fantastic.
But if you want to know what is the best, Lavinia just answered that, and this apparently the masks with the respiratory filter is the best, and this is the N95. But Jerry O.D. is making also a very, very good comment. He said, be careful, the flu season is coming and it will get worse. So please be careful out there. And he's totally right. And we're going to see that now, especially after the last scientific release of how the virus reacts, how long it can be in the environment before it dies. It is now proven that when it goes around 40 degrees, when it's hot, it dies off very, very quickly.
Yes.
But the colder it gets, the longer the virus stays on different surfaces. The longer the virus is around, this COVID is around you, the higher the infection rate gonna be. And I'm, somehow, sadly, I think we're gonna move straight into that now in the autumn and into Christmas with a big, big problem. And we see already the numbers are going up, the cases are going up everywhere, and it's just gonna get worse and worse if we not clamp down, if we not take responsibility and said, okay, you know what, don't wait until the law tells you to do something. Use your common sense and protect yourself and your family. When you do that, you're also protecting other people. And we just follow this common sense. We can protect each other. If it's now fashion or not. Some are in there, no, I can't because it's my lipstick. That's also things. We have to wake up and smell the coffee and say, you know what, it is important, it's gonna get worse. How many other people have to die before the world is taking it serious?
Yes, absolutely. But there are countries who have got a proven track record with much greater populations than Greece or the United Kingdom, where their official figures are very low indeed. And it is a concerted effort. I mean, I think the populations there are perhaps they're more used to pandemics of this nature, like SARS. And do you remember the bird flu strain that affected a lot of people, and maybe a lot of Western countries weren't quite so.
Well, that's the figures again. That's another sore point. What we can talk about. Are the figures correct? Is the figures we're getting done? Yes, I mean, a lot of people said this here, because the holiday season was in full swing. We nearly got no information of what's going on. So we didn't know how many cases it were on the island. And then you got conflicting reports. There's one case. The other said no. Then there's 2 cases. No, there's not 2 cases because they just said 6 tested positive. And then their parents, 2, that's 8 already. So there's a lot of things going on out there. What contributes for, I'm not sure, I don't know what to believe. But that has to stop. That has to be, it's hard. But we have to find a point where we can all carry on, because we're gonna have a new normal. That virus is not gonna get, I hope I'm wrong, not gonna leave us that quickly.
No,
and new season starts, it's gonna get worse. And if you need somebody in your family to die or to suffer before you wake up, then you have to ask yourself, how serious are you taking life? Simple. That's my thing. So I mean, we have to agree to disagree there, aren't we, mate? But it doesn't matter. We're discussing that night, we're debating, and everything
I
goes.
Don't think we're poles apart at all on any of this.
No, I don't think so either.
No.
But this is
the point I want to get to. I really want to hear from these people who think it's all a hoax or just won't have anything to do with masks or social distancing. I mean, there's a lot of people out there who won't give up the hug or won't give up the handshake. We've come across them in the last few months. Shame to say, but we have, and it is a difficult social impasse you get. You know someone and you really want to shake their hand, and they, before you know it, they've got their hand in yours. And what do you do?
That's why I said we have to get new living with the virus. We have to get used to all these things.
Yes.
But I think we have to do this rather quickly. I have the same thing.
Yeah.
We met people, and the hand comes out automatically because it's in us.
It's not in my nature
for
now
nearly
to
5
shake that
decades,
hand.
6 decades. It's in you, shake the hands,
Yes.
and then all of a sudden you should change. It's not gonna work.
It's in my nature now to recoil, to try and move back from that scenario.
Yeah.
I don't feel comfortable with that, to be honest with you. I really
No,
don't.
we have to.
So we're talking about masks and we're talking about handshakes and hugs. Social distancing, that's another tricky one. When I've been out and about in places that I don't know so much and there are crowds of people, I will deliberately walk away. I will try and impose my own 2-meter restriction as much as I can possibly get in my own head. It's the length of a broom from your shoulder outwards. So I try and do that one. But here's another one that we don't talk enough about, although we have mentioned it, I think, 3 times in this Agree to Disagree, and that is continual washing of hands, or else wearing of gloves and hand gels and sanitizers. I think that is very important as well. It's not just one thing we need to do. It's a tool in the toolbox, as it were, an ornament. It's many things, and in combination of all those things that we as individuals do, we increase the chance of keeping us safe, and B, not infecting other people. Because here's the other thing that we easy to forget. They reckon it's a staggering number of people who are asymptomatic. They have had or have got the virus and simply don't know it. They show no signs or symptoms whatsoever. And that is quite terrifying if you think about it, isn't it?
It is, and that comes all down to testing again,
Yes, it does.
Where we fail on every point in the United Kingdom, especially now, and that saddens me. The government is failing, and every point they said they're failing. Every time they say something, they're not reaching the target. It's the same as with the 100,000 tests. So 100% of the tests taken gonna be worked in 24 hours, and then it turns out it's only 24%. So there is also people out there, I have to say now, where I'm positive, but I'm asymptomatic, so I'm not showing anything. I'm still going out, and that was even written on different social media sites from students who came back from somewhere. I know I was asymptomatic. I think Scotland, one of the students wrote that she knew about that. She knew she is positive but asymptomatic, and she thought it's not that dangerous. Went out and infected other students. So it is all coming down how serious you take that whole, and the government should emphasize how serious it is, and they still not doing it. It's not one of the governments here who are really telling you how serious that is, and now we have to act. They all seem to, but they're not meaning it. When you look at some of the comments what politicians are giving you, you can see that, you can hear that he's not meaning it. He's just saying it because he has to say it. And that's why they're not following up. That's why they're not explaining to the public what we have to do to get through that, and saying, okay, the economy is going to suffer. Of course the economy is going to suffer. That was clear from the beginning, how far it's going to suffer. But saying now, hey, do you want to starve to death, or do you want to risk, 3% of the population to die? What is the better evil?
Well,
that's a question.
Yes, it's a very deep philosophical question, that, but how sure is the person saying that it would only be 3% of the population? And also, where is that person on the subject of long COVID? We're getting these continual stories, more and more as the days go by, of people who were infected, were badly ill back in March, shall we say, with COVID-19, and they're still suffering appalling symptoms, not necessarily the original symptoms that they had. Chronic fatigue seems to be a perennial one going on, but there's people also who are claiming, as we touched on earlier on, damage to their nervous systems, for instance. That's really quite serious. So there is an unknown long-term effects of health on people, long COVID, they're calling it. So I don't know about the person who says, let's just infect everybody and it's only 3% going to die. What is the percent of the people who aren't going to die but are going to be left seriously disabled for one way or another through COVID-19 for years to come? Are we going to accept that as well? And if so, how many are those people are there? We surely don't know the answer to those questions. And
No.
I don't know. I'm a bit of a humanist. I want to believe and do passionately believe in putting human life above everything else, well, along with animals and plants, because in my opinion, that's why we're here on this beautiful, wonderful planet, to look after not only each other, but the planet as well. We've only got one planet, there's only one planet Earth in this solar system. That's a fact. I'm sure we can all agree
That's
on.
definitely a fact. That's
we ought to really
on
look
that
after
one.
it.
But
and
you know what?
It is special, and let's try and keep it that way.
Keep it that way. I mean, I got another thing, where it comes, and that's just those things, maybe it's a sinister plan to kill off the old and sick to save rocketing medical costs and pensions.
Now, there you go.
And that's it. Yes. And as long as things like that flying around, people gonna latch onto that and then take it less serious as it is.
Exactly.
But
some people definitely would believe that. Absolutely, they would. They're cynics. Let's say they would be the cynics. I don't know whether there's any evidence that that's the case. I'm certainly not going to sit here and accuse government of doing that. No, I'm not.
Cool.
We do know of some leaders, we don't have to mention their names, who have been absolutely brazen in not really believing the seriousness and then have gone on to get the virus themselves. And I'm not just thinking of North America, I'm thinking of other countries as well.
Yeah, this is Trump finally had it, didn't he? That was great, wasn't it? And he's not taking it serious at all. I mean, maybe there's really something to when you have it, something happens with your brain cells.
There's a funny thing there, because we reported this towards Unlocked SK, when his good friend of years and years was rushed into hospital in New York. It was a property developer, I think, and he was in his 70s, and he was one of Donald Trump's closest, longest friends, and he saw him on the Thursday night, and he was suffering with mild symptoms, and on the Sunday night, the poor man had died. And that apparently really upset and shook President Trump. That was some months ago. Then, of course,
it's all a lie. It's all played. It's all acted. Everything that man do is acted. He thinks as soon as he comes out of the White House, he's in a movie, in his own movie.
Yes. Did you see the promo video with the helicopter and everything else? Yeah, but if you look carefully at that, and you know all about this subject better than I could in a million years, it's all in the editing, Thomas. It was
of course.
There was some very clever editing in that film, and it was a glossy Hollywood-style trailer promo almost, wasn't it? But the clever editing was you don't actually see him come down the steps of the helicopter, Marine One or whatever it's called, landing on the White House. You actually see an official coming down first, and then suddenly you see Mr. Trump in that position. So it's all cleverly edited and glossy. And actually, I shouldn't really speak because I'm not American and don't have any input in American affairs, but it did seem to belittle the seriousness of COVID-19, the whole thing.
That's going to be a subject for a topic for another day, mate.
Yes,
let me go because it's time to go. I think that's enough discussion. That's nothing, man. We're on air for an hour and 45 minutes. And we go and we just tickle the surface. But mostly is if you have anything to say, if you want to make us aware of something you would like to discuss with us here live or highlight, don't hesitate. Contact us via Skype. We can arrange a live call with you here in one of our episodes. Or if you want to go more anonymous, go inbox at studiocarecarer.com and send us an email and let us know if you want to be mentioned or not. Also, by the calls in at Skype calls you want to do, we don't need to see your face. We only can have your voice and we don't need to mention your name. But it's an opportunity for you to get out what you think without being slaughtered. Simple as that. Everybody has an opinion, and if we don't discuss these things, we're never gonna find common ground. That's all it is. But the poll for the end of the show, and I'm happy I see that it's 73% for people who say I take it very seriously.
We're down a little
Only
bit.
Only 4% I don't think it's that serious.
Okay.
And 20% I don't know what to believe. And we only have now 2% it's a hoax. And I got told from somebody, sorry, push this button, don't know how to undo it. So that was a mistake. So there is 0 now.
For your honesty,
and,
really great.
And that's great and that's fantastic. Thank you for honesty. That's fantastic.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
When I see now 73% take it very serious. To the others, the 20% who I don't know what to believe, I would just, especially when you don't know what's going on, when you're not sure if it's true or not, always assume the worst. It's like doctors are being a paramedic, always injuries, you don't know what he has, always assume the worst. As simple as that. So be safe, wear a mask, follow the rules, and then you're gonna find out if it's real or not. But in this case, we can tell you straight, it's real, guys. For the people who don't think it's very serious, it's only 4%. So, from the votes what we have from the singer, guys, thank you for that. But take it a little bit more serious. Just don't think of yourself. Now it's time to think of everyone. And that's very, very important. It's not just now me. Now this me has to stand to side. This is me, my family, my friends, and my community. Because without these things, we are nothing. And that's all I have to say for tonight. Thank you for watching. Thank you for logging in. Send us an email if you want to chat with us. Inbox at Studio Kerkera. But have a fantastic night, and I'm gonna see you on Wednesday again.
Yes, indeed. Thank you very much for sharing your time with us, and we look forward to hearing all your comments and suggestions for future topics of which we can globally debate from a local level. So once again, thank you very much indeed for joining us, and have a very good rest of the day wherever you are. Goodbye.